All right. Well, what we might do then, I've got we were talking about Yoo Theme Pro 3 and the new features in that. And so they've kindly put together a 23-minute video that goes through everything. So we might share and play that. And then if you do have any questions, put them in the chat, and then we can come back to that at the end and look at some of the features a bit more. So yeah. Let me know if you can. I'm going to mute me, but
Ta-da! Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 has just been released. It took us over 9 months and 3 UIKit feature releases to get this baby ready. First of all, Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 comes with, drumroll please, the mega menus. Now you can create sophisticated drop-down layouts with the Yoo Theme Pro page builder. And then there is a new element called sub-layout, which allows you to nest page builder rows into each other. Oh, and remember those sticky, stunning parallax effects from UIKit? Well, now you can create them directly in Yoo Theme Pro. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So go grab a coffee, or even better, a coffee pot, and let's get started. Today's the day. Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 brings you the long-awaited mega menus to Yoo Theme Pro. Now you can use the power of the Yoo Theme Pro page builder and design drop-downs for each menu item. There's a builder button next to all first-level menu items that opens the page builder. It works just like the regular page builder, but instead of sections, the layout consists of just rows and columns. Here you can add builder elements, use the element and layout libraries, and create sophisticated drop-down layouts. There's really nothing you can't do. In WordPress, we integrated the new options directly into the WordPress menu customizer. Each menu item has a builder button that opens the Yoo Theme Pro page builder. So how do we get menu items into your mega menu builder? We've added a new custom menu item source that loads all menu items from the parent item. Just use the completely reworked nav element. Now you can map the title, image, icon, subtitle, and link of your menu item. You can even map its active state and the menu item type to create headings and dividers. But not only navbars can have drop-down menus. Stat nav and icon nav now also render their child menu items in a drop-down. For example, you can publish a menu with drop-downs in the toolbar. This, of course, means you can design them with the Yoo Theme Pro page builder as well. You probably know, only first-level menu items in the navbar have some options in the header panel in Yoo Theme Pro. Since you now can have drop-downs anywhere, every menu item should have these options. That's why we moved the navbar item settings from the layout header panel to the menus panel. Choose a menu and click any menu item to open a panel with its further options. There's a button at the bottom that opens the modal with the added menu items view from Joomla. In WordPress, we added a theme button, just like you know from the widgets, to make these new options available in the WordPress menu customizer. Now let's take a look at all the new possibilities. Every menu item can now have an image, icon, and subtitle, no matter the menu type and item's level. Additionally, we added plenty of options to customize dropdowns. You can set a custom width for the dropdown, or stretch it to the navbar width or its container. For content-rich dropdowns, you can add a larger padding, and each menu item can now have a specific dropdown alignment. Finally, there is a new secondary style for the drop-down nav, which is specifically designed for menus with subtitles. In addition to the menu item settings, we also added general settings for each menu position. Here you can change the menu type and its style, for example, display an icon nav in the toolbar. You can also set the size of the menu item images and icons and inject SVG images into the page markup. Finally, you can add an extra margin between the image and title and change the image alignment from center to top. This is especially useful if menu items have subtitles. Since these are the same options that can be set for the menu module, you only need modules in rare cases. For example, to assign menus to different pages or languages. Now that we have the Mega Menu Builder and optimized menu settings, let's take a look at header layouts. We added some new header layouts to Yoo Theme Pro. There's an additional text center split view layout where navbar items are split and positioned on the left and right ends of the navbar. And there are two layouts, horizontal justify and stack justify, where all navbar items are equally distributed within the navbar. Some header layouts split navbar items or modules automatically to show the logo in the middle. To have more control over this behavior, we added a new split items option where you can set the precise number after which the items are split. There was another layout where the menu was on the left and all following modules were pushed to the right. Again, you had no control on which side a module appeared. Now there is a push items option, which works just like the split option. This allowed us to merge the stack left A and stack left B layouts into one layout. Finally, there is an option to show parent icons if menu items in the navbar have drop-downs. Did you notice all the canvas and modal header layouts are missing? These layouts were rarely used as header layouts, just because they only display a logo and a dialog toggle in the header and everything else in an off-canvas sidebar or a modal window. While this is perfect for small devices, it's almost never used for larger screens. Here, modern websites, especially the ones with content-rich navigation, usually have both a navbar menu and a dialog toggle to show the whole site navigation in a dialog. That's why we added a new dialog module position and separated the dialog layouts from header layouts. Now, if you publish a menu or a module in this position, a dialog toggle will automatically appear in the navbar. That's really great, as you can keep your favorite header layout and have an off-canvas or modal dialog with further content. Additionally, all dialog layouts have the push items option, which allows you to set a number of items after which the items are pushed to the bottom. This not only gives you more control over your dialog layout, but it also allowed us to cut the number of layouts in half. Optionally, you can add a new logo in the side panel that will be displayed in the dialog. That's not all. There are two new dialog layouts, dropbar top and dropbar center. Similar to a drop-down, a drop bar opens below the navbar, but stretches to the full width and height of the viewport. You can either fade the drop bar or slide it from the top, left, or right directions. This way, you can make the drop bar look like a modal window or an off-canvas sidebar. But the main difference is that the navbar is visible all the time and can be used for further navigation. And of course, we added a smooth animation for the dialog toggle, which changes from a menu icon to a close icon. We're really thrilled about the drop bar because it's becoming the new standard for mobile navigation these days. In Yoo Theme Pro, you can publish a search and social icons in the header and navbar without having to create a module or a widget. Now you can also publish them in the dialog and logo position, and even specify whether to show them at the start or end of the position. The new dialog toggle is positioned in the same way. We have neglected the mobile header far too long. Finally, it got completely refactored. Now it works just like the default header and has all its features. For example, you can choose between different mobile header layouts and add any content to the mobile navbar. To do that, we added new module positions, navbar mobile and header mobile, and renamed the mobile position to dialog mobile. So this means you can now also choose between different dialog layouts, including the new dropbar layouts. Additionally, you can publish the search with just a click and add social icons for the mobile header. Just like the default header, the mobile header inherits the transparency from the section. If needed, you can disable this behavior. Finally, it's even possible to disable the mobile header altogether. This may be useful if the default header already looks great on small devices. By the way, you can add a new mobile inverse logo in the side panel. Now you have all the possibilities to create a modern mobile navigation. Wow, what an update for the menus, right? With all these new options, you can now create modern navigation for any site. To show you some examples, we have completely reworked header and mobile header layouts for all our Yoo Theme Pro theme packages. This means we not only make use of the new options, but we also created drop-down layouts using the new Mega Menu Builder. This was quite an effort for our designers, but it's definitely worth it. Take a look yourself. In addition to the theme packages, all drop-down layouts created with the Yoo Theme Pro Mega Menu Builder are now available in the layout library under drop-down. As usual, load a layout for your menu item drop-down with just a click. Mind the drop-down layouts only consist of rows and columns. If for some reason you load it into a page layout, Yoo Theme Pro will automatically wrap it into a section. On the contrary, if you load a section or page layout into the Mega Menu Builder, the sections will be stripped and only rows will be loaded. That's all for the menus. Now let's head over to other improvements. Remember the Builder module that opens the page builder in the top and bottom module position? Well, now it can be used anywhere on your site. This means you can design sidebars, toolbars, or even dialog layouts with the Yoo Theme Pro Page Builder. Just like with the Mega Menu Builder, the Builder module published in this position uses builder rows and columns instead of sections. The rest is just like you're used to, no restrictions at all. Now that we can use the Page Builder anywhere, why stop there? Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 comes with a new sub-layout element, which allows it to create sub-layouts within the Page Builder. Sub-layouts are regular Page Builder layouts, but without sections. They consist of rows, columns, and elements, so basically the same layout as created with the Mega Menu Builder. This means you can nest Page Builder rows into each other and create really advanced layouts. Of course, like drop-down layouts, you can save your sub-layouts into the layout library and reuse them later. Again, if you load other layout types than rows, all the sections will be stripped and just rows will be loaded. The next major feature of Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 is the sticky parallax effects. Thanks to the latest UI kit releases, you can now achieve stunning parallax effects directly in Yoo Theme Pro. But before looking at these effects, let me first explain the main concept behind them. First of all, we need a section or a row which is multiple viewports high. This will define the duration of the parallax animation. Within this section or row, we need a sticky column, which has a height of 1 viewport. And finally, in this column, you can add elements that have the parallax effect. Since the column is sticky, the elements will not scroll out of the viewport, but will be animated while scrolling. So far, so good. Now let's take a look at how this can be achieved in Yoo Theme Pro. We have refactored builder columns and added 2 additional position sticky modes. Here you can choose whether to stick the column within its section or row. Additionally, we added more viewport height options for the builder sections. If you want to set a custom height for the row, use a new custom CSS field in the Advanced tab. Finally, to make the parallax animation start and stop depending on the height of the section or row, just choose it as a target in the parallax settings of the elements. Now that we can make the parallax effect sticky, let's see how to control their animation more precisely. We completely refactored the parallax settings. When animating a property, you can now add multiple stops to define start, intermediate, and end values along the animation sequence. The animation will be equally distributed between the stops. You can even specify percentage to position the stops along the animation sequence. Additionally, you can now use percent, viewport width, and viewport height units for the translate and scale properties and define the origin of their transformation. By default, the animation starts when the targeted element enters the viewport and ends when it leaves the viewport. For even more control, you can now set a start and end offset. For all the details, check out the UIKit 3.12 blog post. Now that we have all the tools in our hands, let's take a look at some examples of what you can create with Yoo Theme Pro thanks to UIKit. We even added 2 fancy sticky effects for the builder sections. Here, you can either cover the section by the following section on scrolling, or reveal a section by the previous section. Both are just a click away. Pretty impressive, right? Additionally, sticky columns now have a pinned status icon and are marked blue. For a better orientation, columns are now numbered, so it's easier to see which column is being edited. By the way, the same is also available for multiple items elements like grid and gallery. Finally, builder columns now have background videos just like builder sections. This includes the same features like for the background images, with blend modes and color overlay. That's all for the sticky parallax effects, but there's one more major feature. Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 comes with a big update for the images. It implements all the new UIKit image features. Now, Yoo Theme Pro uses the native loading lazy attribute to load images as they enter the viewport. Additionally, Yoo Theme Pro automatically adds width and height attributes for the images to prevent layout shifts. Lazy loading is enabled by default. To disable it for images which appear in the first viewport, we added an option to eagerly load images across all Yoo Theme Pro elements. Builder elements like slideshow and slider automatically eagerly load images from adjacent slides, so they're immediately displayed. And if you wonder what about background images, don't worry. Thanks to UIKit, even background images are loaded lazy. Yoo Theme Pro now uses the picture element to serve alternative image formats like WebP. This also solves the long-standing issue with page caching, which now perfectly works with alternative image formats. Since UIKit can emulate the picture and source set features for background images, Yoo Theme Pro even serves WebP images in different sizes for your background hero images. Just think about the impact this will have on your page loading time. That's incredible and is a unique feature of Yoo Theme Pro. But we have one more thing. Since we always want to bring in the newest web technologies within Yoo Theme Pro, we added support for the new AVIF image format, which has even better compression than WebP. Yoo Theme Pro will serve images out of the box, but mind that this is a cutting-edge feature, so you need the GD extension in PHP 8.1 compiled with AVIF support. That's the image update. Now let's go through all the other features. Our next improvements sneaked into Yoo Theme Pro 2.7 as we needed them for our theme packages. They were not covered in our release blog post, but they're definitely worth mentioning, so we want to give you a quick walkthrough. To create a pagination with images of the previous and next posts, we've added a new previous next source to the dynamic content feature of Yoo Theme Pro. It allows you to load the previous and next article, page, or custom post type directly into your layout. In WordPress, you can additionally select a taxonomy to only load posts from the same term, while in Joomla, only articles from the same category are loaded by default. Just like with the previous and next sources, the actual pagination element loads posts from the same taxonomy in WordPress and articles from the same category in Joomla. To have the same result, we added an option to the pagination element in WordPress to only navigate between posts from the same term. We added a new tile check panel style option for the grid element. It alternates between default and muted tile styles, creating a chess pattern. What's cool about it is that it's fully responsive, so the pattern does not break when columns wrap into the next line. This is definitely an eye-catcher on any side. There is a new option for the list element. Now, in addition to the default vertical list, you can also have a horizontal list. Additionally, set a separator between list items, for example, a comma or a dash between start and end dates. But that's not all for the builder elements. The map element now can show points of interest on Google Maps, and the Google Maps marker cluster library got updated. If you use OpenStreetMap and Leaflet, you'll get a fresh look thanks to the updated Leaflet library. The drop-downs of the popover element now perfectly work on smaller devices, so the switcher fallback is removed. Overlay and gallery elements now have a border option for their images. Finally, all elements have additional text small and large options to style the title, meta, and content. Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 incorporates all the style improvements from UIKit into the style customizer. Now you can style subtitles differently for the nav, drop-down, and navbar components. In the navbar component, you can also set gaps between items for the default and primary navbar, as well as different paddings for different breakpoints. There's a new secondary nav style, which is used for menus with subtitles. And of course, you can style the new dropbar component. But there are many other new options to set the background, border, box shadow, and so much more across all components. Of course, our designers made sure that all these new style improvements look great in our 40 Yoo Theme Pro styles. But that's not all. They tested all the possible combinations. Navbar with drop-downs or drop bars, stretch to the navbar or the container, with and without the mega menu builder, in all the different header layouts, and so on. This was quite an effort, but now everything looks just like it should. We updated the Yoo Theme Pro documentation with all the new features and everything that has changed. And trust me, that was a lot. We also recorded new documentation videos and updated existing ones, which makes it a total of over 120 recorded videos. Get an overview of all the new videos on our videos page. Of course, they're all available in the contextual help system of Yoo Theme Pro. But Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 comes with some further small improvements and fixes. For example, we added smooth scrolling to all links with URL fragments in any Yoo Theme Pro menu. No third-party JavaScript needed. Additionally, nav parent icons are now injected into the page markup and inherit the hover and active colors of their nav item. The search input now takes the full width when used in dialog layouts. We also refactored the style customizer to show variables in case of errors and fixed an issue with multiple third-party less files. Additionally, we now allow mapping URL, alt, and caption fields for the toolset image field. Last but not least, we raised the required PHP version from 5.6 to 7.2. For the full list of features and fixes, check out the changelog. Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 is the biggest feature release we have ever had. It brings you the #1 feature from the Yoo Theme Pro wishlist, the Mega Menu Builder. With all the new header layouts, you can build modern content-rich navigation. The sticky parallax effects will spice up your page layouts, and the image update brings you the latest technologies to your site. And now that this huge release got through the finish line, we can focus on our upcoming theme package releases. We have already prepared 3 theme packages, which will show you the full potential of Yoo Theme Pro 3.0. The first theme package will be released shortly, and the others will follow one after another. To get a quick impression of all the new Yoo Theme Pro capabilities, check out our updated demo websites and see their mega menus in action. Now go ahead and take Yoo Theme Pro 3.0 for a test drive. As always, we're looking forward to your feedback, so let us know what you think in the comments below.
Yes, lots to consider there.
That's why none of us have had a chance to actually play with it yet.
Too many for one release.
It's amazing.
Well, it's a major release, so that's probably expected. But
My issue with Yoo Theme at the moment, has been for a while. I love my Yoo Theme, and I call it my Yoo Theme. Is the fact that the mega menu, for instance, has been on request for, I think, 3 years.
3 years, yeah. I'm an old warp guy from Yoo Theme days, or pre-Yoo Theme, when they had the warp framework.
Yeah.
And so I remember when Yoo Theme Pro was released, and I was dead against it because it was a page builder. But even then, people were whinging and moaning about the mega menu builder. So yeah, it's from pretty much day one.
It was high up on the requests, and so much high, and the demand was so high that I think the pressure was too much for Yoo Theme, so much so that they actually dropped it off the to-do list for a couple of years.
I think that's true. They kept just kind of batting people away, like, oh, here's an open source solution, or you can do this. Yeah.
So, no, long overdue, but yeah, no, there's some good things. That dialogue now is a good feature, I think, for the really large sites.
The sub layouts are a big one for me, actually, being able to kind of create a page builder section within a row kind of thing. It's sort of like nested layout or nested elements, which haven't been able to do so far.
So those of you that are using Yoo Theme, would you use Yoo Theme and something else as well, or are you going to consolidate on that? Because that's just it blew me away, all the functionality that was there. But as you say, you could take a good year to get your head across it.
Learn it, yeah.
Start small.
I use other add-ons as well as Yoo Theme, Robert, but pretty much every site I do build now, I use it because it's just so much quicker. You know, I was very much a code first kind of guy, but I was eventually converted because you can still do the code side of it. But there are still things, you know, other components you need for specific requirements, but it handles a hell of a lot out of the box.
So I used to subscribe so I've been a Yoo Theme member for an extremely long time, probably almost when I first started using Joomla. So I've got that history. It's a bit like, I find Yoo Theme like Apple for me. So, unfortunately, but they had another component, the widget kit component.
Widget kit, yes.
Yeah, which they're still developing. They still update and keep it up to date because there are people that like just to use that in their other page builders they use. But I find that a majority of the things that are available to you in the builder itself eliminates the need for the widget kit component that they produce. So I think that the interesting thing will be how their other component that they have produced and been using for a long time called Yoo Theme Zoo, how that's going to be implemented within the system. I think that'll be the next big thing that'll happen with them.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they don't retire it, really. I kind of think it's redundant with custom fields and Joomla and the fact that you can map them, because essentially Zoo was a content construction kit. You know, it had custom fields before Joomla had it in the core. So it's kind of, you know, out there on that hill to die on with K2 and Sebot. You know, the ones that had the custom fields early on. But yeah, it'd be interesting. So I mean, I think they have a lot of users using it, but yeah, I've never looked at it.
No, I haven't had need for it, but I don't know. I think evolution-wise, I think the next stage would be they could turn that into a really good e-commerce package.
They could. There are some third parties in that sphere, though. So
yeah, so depends on how well they want to treat their third-party developers. So yeah, but no, there's a lot to see in it and do with it. So just finding the time.
Right. One of the things it does really well, which I did a little presentation on a while ago, is it lets you map Joomla articles to a builder layout. So you can build like a blog layout or something with the page builder tools, but still publish your content through Joomla articles. So it would be no different to your kind of current publishing sort of method, but just allows you to build a lot more sophisticated layout, I guess, without needing to code and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like the look of the layout. Again, it's just there's so much to keep your head around. It's nice that it works if you're building websites, which I'm not really doing. I'm maintaining websites. But if you're building websites across Joomla and WordPress, I can see a tremendous attraction for this page builder. And I'm not sure whether other page builders do the same now that they offer the. I guess most Joomla developers will have to have a foot in the WordPress camp as well.
Not so much, really.
Okay.
Not so much in the page builder sphere, I don't think. But there are various developers like AC Mailing make it for WordPress. There's quite a few extension developers like Akiva make Akiva backup and admin tools.
What I've found interesting with majority of people that we come across are WordPress people that have used or have used WordPress but never used Joomla. And the scary thing has always been, I don't want to learn another system or anything like that. But I think what I've come across, particularly now with the Yoo Theme Builder, is that when I do a presentation on how, the first thing is I'll convince them how, okay, this is how I want you need to use the website. You've told me how you want it, how you want to be able to interact and manage the site yourself. There will be certain things that they don't want to touch, and they say, can you do that? But when it comes to editing or creating new content, we want to make that as easy as possible. So when I've been able to show them how they can do that, how to edit, for instance, single article pages, or how to create content for a news section, and they've seen the simplicity of how to do both things within the builder itself and then within that front-end editing framework, the fear of actually trying to learn a new system has completely gone away, and they're often running very quickly, particularly with my experience over the last 12 months with certain people where I'm working. I've got about 17 websites I have to manage. Majority of them are all WordPress, and over the course of the next few years, it's going to be a case that all of those sites are actually going to be moved to Joomla.
Wow.
And they're all going to be using the Yoo Theme Builder, and they're all going to have to be able to edit single page articles, which will be done in the builder, but they're also going to have the ability to create brand new articles for news sections, or create new project pages for that are all going to be done within the Joomla framework and the standard framework and the use of custom fields. So that and some of them are already doing that with one site, and the ease that they've been able to accomplish that and then see an end result when they're using the Yoo Theme template builder and seeing it populate and the ease that it's actually doing it for them. I think it's been, I'm less frightened of actually telling a client this is how it's going to work, because I can actually show them very quickly and easily how it works, and they've gone, that looks so simple. So I think this has opened up things greatly. I think probably more so for those that want to go down the path of Yoo Theme, but producing stuff in, and if they prefer to use Joomla, which I do wholeheartedly. So, yeah.
It's good to, and again, I haven't been involved for a little while, but to hear people who are using WordPress who will be moving to Joomla, as opposed to what I would think from looking from the outside, that there will be people using Joomla who go to WordPress or desire to do that because they've seen WordPress is seen to be a preferable platform, as it were. I think by customers anyway.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's helped me with the communication with these clients is knowing that they've got quite a long history with WordPress for one, but that history I'm finding constantly is that they're always bringing new people in to do things, and they've all got their own way of doing the same thing. So therefore, they know what they need to use in order to do what they want to do on an existing site, and then all of a sudden they start bringing a new plugin in and use that, and there's already something that's already doing that. So then you've got all these different layers of new plugins being used, which forces the website to become extremely messy, and that's why they end up customers or potential clients would come to you and say, okay, this is why this is, I'm so frustrated, I'm getting frustrated with this. And I said, well, you've got to clean it up because you're using too much. But then if we can give them another option, say, okay, here's what we can do here with that, then it opens up so much more, I think, because you can simplify things. Yes, you've got your Yoo Theme builder, and then, yeah, I use a lot of Joomla components. I've used the firewall, the RS forms, sometimes the SEO one as well, not so much, but those two ones, and then you got your Akiba. But as far as anything else, it's rare for me to need anything else. Because obviously Joomla does a lot of it all on its own, and then Yoo Theme actually makes Joomla even better. So, and I think the fact that Patrick, when I started, sorry, Patrick, interrupt me if you want, but the fact when I introduced him to do that and said, look, we're using this to do a job, and he had to take charge of that job. And because my time was too poor, and I think, I think that was a big eye opener for him to see what he could do without having to fiddle around and mess around with a lot more code than what he would do.
Yeah.
He's not touching the code as much. He didn't have to touch code and customize code as much to do what he needed to do.
Certainly been some things that have changed my perception dramatically on it. Because I've tended to find that page builders in the past have not really saved things back to the article. So K2 and SP Page Builder actually build, and Quicks build their own content in their own tables, which makes it very hard sometimes to then roll back. Though once you are using Yoo Theme, you are tied to Yoo Theme to a degree, but you don't have to configure. So I'm able to configure what I'm doing for a couple of sites at the moment, so that Yoo Theme does all the templating of everything, but then the actual content editing is all purely done in Joomla. So then it's a front-end editor override, which basically makes them put custom fields in as required, and then the custom fields then fill in the Yoo Theme template to display the page.
Yeah, that's a model that appeals to me too.
Yeah. So then you don't have to worry. I mean, one of the things I hate about WordPress page builders is that typically they'll bloat your HTML code, and quite often have things that, I've got a couple of sites that have got not just Elementor, but Elementor Pro. And if you haven't activated Elementor Pro, then suddenly those features vanish. So that's sort of the probably the only thing that still unsettles me is the price point on Yoo Theme compared to a couple other things. It's sort of represents a third of my software license budget. It would equate to a third of the total that I'm spending on software licensing at the moment. So it's still a case of finding
You're not multi-licensed yet, though, are you, Patrick?
No. So I haven't got to the point of economies of scale. The same with Ackie mailing. I've got the one site configured with that at the moment, and then need to go about getting a few more before I get that economies of scale, like I've got with Akiba and Joomla Shack and others. So
it is a pricey tool, you're right, but I think it's pretty clear they kind of put the development effort into to justify that price tag for me.
Yeah, and I think very quickly, once I'm up around I know what's the optimal number of sites to have that makes it cost effective.
5.
In that case, I'll be buying that shortly because
Yeah, I think that's when I rolled over to the developer license.
yeah, so there's probably 10 sites in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
5 of them are mine, but yeah, like one of the other game changers was the thing we found a couple of sessions ago where we had on prepare content. So we actually fire a plugin, or where you would normally fire a plugin, you can actually fire that anywhere on the page. And typically that would only appear above or below the main content. Start showing where they've been a bit clever in being able to allocate sort of where things fire a little bit differently. And what that lets you do is put something that might have otherwise only been able to go in the footer somewhere on a sidebar in the content layout and fix that up. So yeah, lots still to learn.
I discovered only the other day from Christy via Terry that you can just override builder elements by creating a builder folder inside your template folder or inside your child theme folder. And you can then follow the path and put the actual element file and override it, which is also very cool, without having to build like a custom element.
You might have to show us that, please, Nathan. These two, it's been second.
Wasn't really prepared for that. Hey, hang on. I'll let me dig out Christy's comment on Slack. So.
We'll get Terry and Christy along to do it.
Because that really perked my ears up, because I'm doing that exact same thing at the moment, trying to figure out how to override the grid layout. And if I can adjust that myself, then woohoo.
So I have added the builder folder to the child theme folder for one site where I've added K2 as a dynamic source, because the dudes who make Yoo Theme Essentials have built a K2 source library.
Yes, yes.
But so Christy was saying basically within the builder folder, so that's like within your child theme, you just copy the path entirely to the grid. So she was wanting to modify the grid item folder. Yeah, I'll paste it into the chat thing.
Is this? No, it's not template. Oh.
While he's finding that, Patrick, you mentioned in the chat that WebP automation requires PHP 8.1.
That was wrong. Sorry.
Nathan threw in that correction there. So there's a new tool that lets you effectively, it takes all your JPEGs and then renders them on the server into AVIF and WebP formats. And so from Nathan, from what you said, that it like you don't need PHP 8.1 for
WebP. You don't know. It's just the new AVIF format, which is newer and more compressed than WebP, but you can use WebP with 7.3 or 7.4 or whatever.
So the theory should now be that Joomla 4 will work cleanly on Joomla, on PHP 8.1, unless you're using a inadequately coded extension that hasn't been checked for PHP 8.1. And that's when you get those delightful white screens of death, or you might get one that says error, like Britt mentioned earlier. And to then decipher what that is, you need to go and turn on your error reporting and your debug to try and see whether it will give you more information to pull that apart. So, and then optionally roll back to PHP 8 or 7.4. And then if you roll back to 7.4, then you get the warning messages from Akiba, and then and if you're still using Joomla 3, then you'll get warning messages all over the place now. It's frustrating that you can't get rid of the Akiba one about that, but I think that only shows to supers anyway. So
I've just pasted in the message from Christy about how you override the grid element. I haven't tested that myself, but it seems like it should work.
I'll just paste into something that might be of use to you guys. This is what I stumbled on when I found with the FJ related articles. I couldn't upgrade my my version of PHP, and I found this fix, which might be my little contribution.
Thanks, Robert, because I'm actually running that somewhere, and I would like to patch it in the short term.
I have
it's FJ. I thought it was FJ.
Yeah, so if you get anything like that, it was this countable thing here. Yeah, if is count, I think I had to add this is countable dollars list, because otherwise, if you didn't do that, it would come up and say it's a non-countable item, or so it must be of type countable or something along those lines. It would fall over. I was rather proud of myself for that one, but it only took me about 6 months.
Yeah, plugin Martin has mentioned on the chat. The WebP plugin is brilliant from DJ Extensions. If you have old legacy content, regardless of Yoo Theme Pro, you just basically have to specify folders, and it will automatically convert JPEGs and PNGs to WebP files. I was even able to use it with a K2 site that's got like 4,000 K2 pages with item images. I was able to just specify media K2 cache and automatically reduced a massively image heavy homepage from like 6 megabyte down to about 2.4.
So that one goes through and not only changes the file from a JPEG to a WebP, but also updates the database. Is that?
No, it does it on the fly. It just seems to do it amazingly quickly.
Okay.
So
so it sounds like it does it similar to JCH Optimize, where it stores a cached copy, and then when it renders the page, it swaps out the.
Yeah, you specify the regeneration time for the WebP files, which can be up to 24 hours. I'd like to make it 7 days. I messaged them about that. I'm like, some of these articles do not need regenerating.
So does
I was just going to say, hard disk space might be an issue if you're on small shared hosting, and generating WebPs is going to put that over the top. But I'm mostly using it on very large websites where it's you've got all these old legacy JPEG images and stuff. So that's super quick. Yeah.
I think you're about to ask something about JCH and how it does it, Martin.
Yeah, the JCH, that doesn't change the format, does it? It just uses some lossy compression algorithm rather than changing it to WebP.
No, so you need to have the WebP. You need to have JCH Optimize Pro license, and then that activates a third-party WebP conversion service.
I see. Because
There
there is
goes through and you select all the folders you want to convert, and then goes and batch converts them all and puts them into the thing. And then when it renders the page, when you've got it in production mode, it'll then drop all the WebPs in where they've been generated and replace that.
okay.
Though the ongoing quality control discussion I have with Brett, where saw that I wrong. Yes, I think that I am quite often happier to see more artifacts than most of the people that I can see that I've worked with on the screen. So, so that correlation between size and quality becomes a major consideration there. But I'd be keen to look more into the AVIF format if that is less lossy and better compression than WebP, then switching to that on in some cases. And can you save those straight from Photoshop and other programs, or
What WebP files?
AVIF.
AVIF, I would think support for that's patchy. It's still pretty patchy for WebP.
WebP those in Photoshop now.
You can,
and-
right?
In a roundabout way. Yeah.
Sorry, Patrick, can you repeat that? You can open up WebP files in Photoshop.
No, export them, I think.
Yeah, you can save as a WebP file in Photoshop now.
Right.
And,
You can't save it though. You can't open one though, can you?
let me try that. Yes.
But there are plenty of WebP converters around, but yeah, it's a bit patchy.
Affinity Photo will do WebP, will export as WebP, and I've got a lovely little, yeah.
Since when?
XN.
Is there a plugin?
No, I thought it did in native. Hold on, I've got one right here. No, you're right, it doesn't.
The WebP,
I thought it did.
WebP that I created
No,
earlier.
It's been shitting me for months. I've got a little program called CodeKit, which is actually a less optimizer, but it also generates WebP images. So I pump it through that.
Yeah.
But yes, it'd be good if you could just save as WebP from things certainly. But you know, the point with Yoo Theme is that it automatically converts your JPEGs and PNGs and whatnot, so you don't have to worry about it so much.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that there's huge performance benefits to be gained in terms of, you know, having a native WebP exported file versus one that's generated by Yoo Theme or the DJ plugin.
Yeah, so in having looked at that more in the last fortnight,
He's going to correct me.
no, like it comes down to the quality that you want and how you go about the thing. So one of the images that Britt's got on one side is a aerial view over a suspension bridge, and the water is a major part of the size of the image.
So it needs to be 100% high res.
Yeah, well, you need to get that magic sweet spot where you can still make out that it's water, but you're not losing a lot of the texture. I'm happy to take it a little bit further, but I lost the ripples and it wasn't. So,
yeah, no, I've got some designers I work with who won't have it. I won't stand for it. I want it pixel perfect.
The other site that I'm working on at the moment is
Can I just say on that, on the DJ extensions plugin,
yeah,
you can specify folders to be excluded.
Yes.
So for example, if you wanted a series of hero images that you wanted displayed in high res, you could put them in a subfolder, hero images, exclude that from the batch processing, and you know, then you still get your high res images.
Yes. Sorry, Mick wants in. What I've tended to find is that, so this other site that I've got at the moment is a truck driver that drives tiny houses around the country. And so his technical scope is far at the other end of the spectrum and care factor. So I'm able to now take his phone photos that he WhatsApps me and then save them as JPEG, then convert them to a WebP and make them look how I think is still suitable, but still crunch them down. And you can't tell the difference between the JPEG and the WebP file, aside from the file size. So I've started uploading WebP natively rather than them needing to go back to redo the optimization process.
Sure, it'd be a good thing to get in the habit of.
Yeah. And that site's scoring 96 on Lighthouse. So the payoff's been there. I think the last couple of sites that I've had to start optimizing have varied between a score of 44 and 70 as the starting point, and the lower scoring starting points obviously are harder to get up, but I've got most of them up to 75 to 80, and then the ones that were at 70 already have moved up to closer to 90 to 95. So it doesn't take much to corkscrew it into making it that little bit better as a performance factor. It just takes a bit longer to then work out whether those performance changes are reflected in traffic and site performance.
Can you do a walkthrough one Joomla meeting, Patrick, on that?
Yeah, so I'm putting together a whole sequence of videos going forward, and going to actually interview for Joomla magazine Samuel Marshall, who's the guy that's created JCH. So there'll be a few more tips there, and there's certainly a number of things that have been optimized in the Bray site. So one of Matthew's sites that I'm working with him on has gone from 44 on the homepage now up to 76 as a Lighthouse score. So I've got Matthew gets the advantage of a one-on-one session where I go through with what I did to fix that one. So we might record that, make some notes. As I've been working with a few more of the user group members recently, I'm starting to make notes of what things I take for granted that others haven't necessarily got in their wheelhouse. And so a lot of that's about to be transcribed into various
I'm on Zoom.
We all are.
Zoom.
Oh, sorry.
You're right, Kevin. Nothing like a Zoom bomber.
Just been called for dinner.
Yeah. But yes, Patrick, it's been it's been invaluable to me, the contributions you've made to sites that I thought, I had in pretty good shape, only to find, oops.
Yeah, there's a range of other things now that I'm doing that are I've not done any of these with Grit specifically yet. I'm starting to do a couple with Matthew's clients where it's also setting up analytics and Tag Manager and Facebook Pixel and all the other mechanisms, and finding that that's actually proving harder to actually get all of that stuff arranged, mainly because the clients don't have the vocabulary to know what it is from the outset, and they might have already had 2 or 3 other companies that they've worked with that have concentrated just on the SEM part, not the actual site performance part. So putting together, so that if you wanted to start advertising tomorrow, you've got all the tools in place that are creating your audiences. If you want to perform better on Google tomorrow, you've got all the tools in place to see that you're actually getting performance improvements. And unfortunately, it's a list of about 180 things, it feels like. So, and I'll be documenting that more, because I think it's rapidly coming aware that it's an education product, not necessarily a, I can set it up so that people can go and do it themselves, and I just need to sell that as sort of a course or a service. And then if they don't want to do it themselves, then they can come back to me and I can deliver it and go from there. So it's going to keep the year ticking along nicely at the moment. So
I have a Salesforce issue or question, I should say. I briefly touched on it with Patrick, but Works decided that they're using Salesforce, and that's all fine, but it's the building of forms within Salesforce and then putting those forms into a website. That's very easy. But does anyone have experience with building forms and designing them in a nice format so they're not just vertically down, or has everyone been using has anyone used the RS Forms Salesforce plugin to do the design? And have you found that one works better than the other?
I missed the start of that, Matthew, but I have done a bit of work with Salesforce plugin and RS Form.
Right.
There are limits to what you can do
within Salesforce itself.
In terms of interacting with Salesforce. So you've got your contact to lead and your contact to case plugin. So there's two different plugins for Salesforce.
Yep.
They both work fine in terms of mapping fields to Salesforce. So any kind of form you want to build in RS Form Pro, you can easily do that. And I've worked with Zane on integrating that with Campaign Monitor, so stuff gets into Salesforce first, which then triggers a sequence off to Campaign Monitor, so people get their welcome email coming from there and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you can't, for example, they wanted to build a donation form that supported 4 or 5 different payment methods, recurring donations, one-off donations, testimony, or in dedication donations, which basically required direct interaction with the Salesforce API. You can't do that with your RS Form Pro Salesforce plugins.
Yeah.
Because it's basically revolves around talking directly to the Salesforce API and triggering tokens based on whether someone's selected a renewable or recurring donation and those kind of things.
Right.
Sort of stuff that you just can't do with the RS Form plugins.
Yeah, look, they seem to be fairly simple forms, some quite long, but it's my issues that I've come across at the moment is obviously I'm not getting I've had to customize the CSS to match the styling of the website, which took quite a while, but I've kind of managed most of it. But then it comes down to that next level of laying things out, whether I want things to be 2-column or is it, 1 bit's 2 columns, then we go to a single column and so forth like that. Fine in RS Forms, but it's not quite simple in Salesforce itself.
Oh no, it's a nightmare.
And that makes me wonder, okay, I do need to look at, say, what's going to be the quickest way for me to get things going. And that is, I'm thinking the plugin and then assigning the fields that I've created within RS forms, assigning them to the relevant Salesforce input fields as well, which I think will work probably quicker. It's a matter of getting it to a link to Salesforce and the campaign it's associated with.
Yeah, that sounds like you should be able to do that mostly with RS Form.
Yeah.
Have you built any multi-column layouts in RS Form?
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit limited. I find I have to kind of override it a bit for various devices. In that I don't like their default breakpoint. But
Look, I haven't got. I can't say I've actually gone too heavily with an RS form with a form itself. So I don't know whether or not I've come across any issues and just not realised it. They seem to operate and function all right for me.
yeah, they're not big ones. They're not
No, they're not. Like, I have done a couple of the really big ones, but they seem to work all right. But and there's been no complaints, and they've been running for a while. But most of the forms I've built are fairly basic. Like the one issue that I have come across in my investigation is trying to create a form within Salesforce that has an upload feature. But then the question that came out of that was, well, where are we uploading to? And does it need to go to Salesforce, or does it just need to sit, can it just sit on the website? And what relevance is it to? And that question led to ultimately people at work saying, well, do we actually need this in Salesforce, or is this a recruitment option? So do we use the recruitment software that we're using? And it's like, pulling the hair out. Like, I don't want to learn another thing. So, but yeah. Anyway, I might touch base, Nathan, with that. Just trying to get a form to link, and it'd probably be initial, like just a standard contact form. Because I've already built the forms in both Salesforce and RS forms.
Yeah, all you need
is the connection point.
All you need is your organisation ID and your campaign ID. And yeah, but yeah, sure. Give me a hand. They're pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
basically.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
It looks much better than using their embedded crap. So.
Oh yeah, and they're not exactly forthcoming with assistance.
No, don't get me started on Salesforce consultants.
They're too big a machine, so yeah, and they don't like each other. All the different I've found, like all the different departments, they really hate one another in there. So they're bagging each other all the time. It's like, come on, I need you guys to work together so you can help me. Yeah. So anyway,
bit of a dog eat dog world in the Salesforce consultants.
I'm discovering that, yeah. It's like, go away. So anyway, it's good. Thank you for that. Yeah.